What is up, y'all? It's your pal Charlie Chainsaw. We're going to be talking today about Tome 19's Splendor for Dead by Daylight and how it ties into Chapter 32, or might tie into Chapter 32 for the anniversary event, because they always announce something big at the anniversary, and it's pretty cool usually. And each tome so far in the last two or three has been tying into what's the new chapter. For instance, Chucky came out, and the tome that during that time was all about toys. There was all kinds of toy themed stuff. When the Unknown came out, it was all Americana and movie theaters, which, the Greenville Square, or forget what it was, Greenville Square, Valley, whatever. I can't remember the name of the map at the moment. But it was tied into that. And this time, everything seems to be pointing towards The Shining by Stephen King, which is really, really interesting. So, let's get into it. First of all, we have the Torn Sky Charm, which reads, "A menacing storm rips through a cloudy sky," or the cloudy sky, I should say. Now, the theme of that, it's kind of questionable. I could see where people wouldn't see the connection, but looking at it, the color scheme for The Shining is whites, blues, in the hatchet scene, and that looks like hatchet marks on the painting. So, it looks to me like it could be Shining theme, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, if you look at Wendy, for example, in that scene with the hatch going through the door, she's wearing a blue shirt, I believe it is, or sweater. I can't remember exactly what it was because I haven't watched the movie in a long time. But, the color scheme of the white, the blue, the markings that look like a hatchet, it all kind of ties together. And the frame kind of looks like a regal frame that you would see in a hotel. So, that leads me to believe that could be a charm leading towards like that hotel theme, the overlook, or anything like that, and it could definitely be part of The Shining. Then we also have the red curtain, which is a banner. It looks suspiciously like the red going through the elevators in the Overlook during one of the scenes in the movie. And also, there's a lot of red themes in The Shining as well. There's a lot of background color that they really use to represent things in The Shining. Kind of like in other movies, but more drastically. So there's some scenes where there's a lot of red, there's some with a lot of gold, white, and it really contrasts. And that just stood out to me because the red curtain, could represent something from that. It's probably not, though, but it's still worth mentioning. And it also reads the curtain between reality and dreams. There's a reality aspect of The Shining where, things happen that don't. It's kind of psychological. So it makes you wonder if maybe that's just like a reference. Then you have the Fountain Pen Charm. It reads, "The right pen can liberate the mind and reveal the soul." Which is pretty interesting because if you look at The Shining itself, especially the bar scene, it kind of fits that description well. The right pen can liberate the mind and reveal the soul. Jack Torrance was a writer, using pens, typewriter, stuff like that. And his mind was kind of clouded. It was in the story, it was read that he was an alcoholic and, he actually broke Danny Torrance's arm at one point in an alcoholic rage. And he had all this stuff that he kind of bottled up and he got rid of when he became sober. And then the reveal the soul part of that description could represent the idea that, once he took that drink, the hotel had him and he began to sink into madness back to what he is, what his soul actually is. And there's a lot of stuff referencing the soul in The Shining and Doctor Sleep, the sequel, such as people trying to absorb the soul, ghosts trying to live on through souls, stuff like that. Like, it's implied. I forget the exact, reasoning for it or how they describe it, but I know there was some soul stuff based there. So, logically, that does make sense, especially since a fountain pen is notoriously known for somebody who would, write stuff, or would write, books. It also fits the artist, too, which is a great cover, because then it's not outright, leaking what the new chapter would be, if it is The Shining, because people can argue, well, it's just the artist, because the artist, ink, all that stuff. But that's just my idea of it. It could be something associated with that. The next one's pretty interesting. You have the Chandelier Badge. So, it reads, "The lights dancing along the ceiling reveal hidden secrets." Now, that doesn't really mean much for The Shining. I mean, it kind of does, if you think about it, but really the reason it stuck out to me is there's a lot of chandeliers in The Shining. Almost every scene has at least one chandelier. In fact, in the scenes with the main lobby, and there was another scene I can't remember, but there was, I think it was the main lobby and the bar room. I don't remember offhand, but they used over 25 chandeliers in each of those rooms. So there was an excessive amount of them, so that kind of stands out that, chandelier badge. I know it's supposed to be like rich, gaudy type stuff, gold, but chandeliers don't really fall into that. That's more of a background thing, so it kind of stuck out to me that that could be part of the Overlook Hotel that they're referencing there. And yeah. And then we also have the Jazz Club Charm, which is pretty interesting because the movie The Shining, the ending song is a big band song. When it pans out into, or pans in, I should say, not out, into the photograph with Jack Torrance in it. And it's a song called Midnight with the Stars in You. It's a big band song that has trumpets in it and all kinds of stuff like that. And ironically, Jazz Club Charm is a trumpet. And if you look inside, it actually kind of looks like a small bar or like a blackjack table in the inside. I know it's supposed to represent just a trumpet, but it looks like it's got that inner symbol there, almost like a bar. Because it looks like the seating in an old school diner or bar. And like in the little symbolization inside the trumpet itself. I don't see that charm really fitting anywhere else. Trickster is in the what was I going to say, in the charm? Trickster was in the Tome, yes, but he's not really a trumpet player in terms of his music. So I don't see why that would fit. So it fits more towards being themed towards The Shining. Even though it's a bit of a stretch, it makes more sense to me that way. Because why would they throw a random instrument in with a K-pop star? You know? Give the Banana-Coated Bastard, I don't know, a microphone. That makes more sense. Or a guitar. Something more pop. I have never really heard much trumpet in pop. So, then you have the Stairway Charm. The Stairway Charm looks very similar to the hotel that the Overlook was based on, with the chandelier at the top and the way, like, the direction of the stairs is still slightly different, but it's still got the red carpet and everything like that, and it looks very similar to the one in the movie, or what the movie was based on, I should say. So it could be representing that. It could just be representing that the next chapter will have a mansion in it. Who knows? Same thing with the jazz club thing. Maybe it'll be a jazz band. You'll be in some kind of I don't know, some kind of club with a stage on it. Maybe that'll be the map. Who knows? But the stairway seems to like point towards that just because it's similar to that one. But there's a lot of movies, there's a lot of media that have stairways like that, so I can't really say that that's 100% connection, but it did make sense to me a little bit. And then there's also a banner called the Delicate Fabric Banner, which is very similar to the prints and all that you would see in the Stanley Hotel that the Overlook was based on in The Shining. Now, I vaguely remember seeing a wallpaper in The Shining that looks just like that banner, but I couldn't find a reference photo. But I did find a reference photo of the Stanley Hotels, which is very similar. And that was based on, that's what the Overlook was based on, so it makes sense. Maybe I'll be able to circle around and say if it's actually in or not. Maybe I'll rewatch The Shining just so I can see some references. But, because it's been, like I said, it's been a while since I watched it. But that did stand out, that it looks very hotel-like. That style design and everything. And I feel like they would put that in as opposed to the rug from the movie, because the rug is very, very iconic, especially the colors and everything. So I don't think they would put that in because it would be a dead giveaway of what the chapter will be. You also have a floral camera charm, which I'm assuming is meant to be more based towards Serena. However, if you think about it, the photograph at the ending is one of the most iconic things in The Shining next to the hatchet scene. And you would have to have a camera to take a picture like that, right? I mean, even if it's a black and white photo, still need a camera. So maybe that's kind of referencing that without referencing it because they're putting it toward another character. Who knows? I mean, they referenced the movie theater by giving Dwight a movie theater attendant skin. So, I mean, it's not a far stretch to say they would give Zarina a camera to represent that. And that was actually one of the more, like I said, that was one of the more iconic things in the movie. So I could totally see them referencing that to kind of give a hint of what the chapter would be. Then we have the Golden Crow Badge. The Golden Crow Badge is listed as a crow with a top hat and monocle blending into the crowd. That sounds a lot like Dr. Sleep. Doctor Sleep is the sequel to The Shining, and there's a group of people led by somebody whose name Rose the Hat, and she wears a top hat and feathers. The top hat in the charm has a feather on it and a monocle. And her accomplice, boyfriend, whatever, they never really reference what he is named Crow Daddy. So it all kind of ties together there. I mean, I know the crows are like iconic for Dead by Daylight, and it's always going hand in hand with it. But it kind of stands out that, you know, somebody named Crow Daddy and somebody named, you know, Rose the Hat, and all that kind of being all on one badge. So that kind of stood out, and especially the blending of the crowd thing, because that group in Doctor Sleep were known for blending into crowds by looking human, and then preying on people by kidnapping them and stealing their souls so they can extend their life force. And that's, you know, I don't know, I just thought of that when I saw the badge, and I'm like, you know, that kind of makes sense. It's kind of a cool reference. So they might try for The Shining like this. And it would make total sense. Anniversary, huge event. You know, one of the biggest names in horror, you know, horror literature, I should say, being associated with the game. Big announcement, everything. I think that would work perfect. And I think this is their hint because of all the stuff that kind of, you know, points at Overlook Hotel and Jack Torrance and all that stuff. The only thing they could have threw in that would have made it more obvious is snow. But then that might have been too obvious because it doesn't make sense with the artist and Trapper and Zarina and all them. And I hope you guys enjoyed what I thought up here, this theory that I came up with and everything. And if you guys have any thoughts, opinions, you know, noticed anything that I didn't, feel free to put it in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys and see what you guys think. And if you like my content, drop a like, follow, any of that stuff. But until next time, I'm Charlie Chainsaw saying keep on keeping on, y'all. I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.